Hello and happy Monday, everyone. Today I'm going to walk you through how to work on step number 2 of our assignment from last week, which is going to be taking your rough sketch, or one of the rough sketches that you designed for your new company logo, and turning it into a digital design using Adobe Illustrator. So for many of you, this will be your first time using Adobe Illustrator, so go ahead and make sure it's downloaded. It's this one right here with the AI logo. Go ahead and open it up. And if you have not already logged in, it's going to prompt you to log in. So to do that, normally we would click with continue with Google, but for some reason that doesn't work on our apps. So you're going to have to continue with Adobe ID. Excuse me. And from here, it's going to prompt you for an email. You need to put in your @apps email. So I'm going to type mine in, just brian.martin@apps.district196.org. Double check, make sure apps, district, everything is spelled correctly. Hit continue. Apps.district. Oh, see, look at that. I made a mistake. I forgot the 196.org. Like I said, make sure everything's spelled correctly. Then it's going to ask you to select an account, and you need to make sure you click company or school. If you don't do that, it will not work because you have to use our school accounts. It's going to then send you to Google, where you have to, unfortunately, log in again with your full email. This time I will remember to do 196 and then prompt with your password. And from there, you are now logged into Adobe Illustrator. Pops up with security alert. So this is what it looks like, Adobe Illustrator. So in order to get started, you're going to go to the bottom. I don't like notifications. I'll say no on that. And you're going to click on Create New. And you have a bunch of different sizing options. I'm going to go to the print screen there. And we're going to change from points to inches because we just understand inches a little better. 24 by 18 is a little big, so I touched into that width box, and I'm just going to go 10, click out of it, and I'll do the height as 10. My logo's kind of got a square-ish proportion, so I'm going to go with a square design. Color mode, RGB is fine. Artboards, everything else can stay the same. Just change inches and make your size. 10 by 10 is a good size to do. Create file. So now you can see you have an artboard. So some basic features of Illustrator to navigate around. 2 fingers allows you to zoom in. You can also slide the 2 fingers left to right to slide the screen. Pinching out zooms in and out. On the left, you have your different tools. We have our select tool, which is the arrow, our direct select, our pen tool, which is mostly what we're going to be using today. Pencil tool, you can also use eraser, basic shapes. Now, any of these that have the little down arrow, like the text box and the square, if you press and hold it, it's going to pull up different options. So if I press and hold the text box, I can do vertical, up and down text, or left to right text. I can also insert pictures. On the right side, we have our layers panel for if you've done Photoshop before. This is where you see the different objects you bring in. You have the properties, which we might need later. Grids and rulers. I often like to turn my grid on, just to helps me line things up a little better. That's up to you. Guides can be on and off as well. And then other tools here, which we might use a little later. To get started with our first digital draft, I would recommend taking your, oops, I accidentally did that. If you do that, hit the undo button, which is the arrow on the top. I'm going to put my selection tool on. I started by taking a picture of my design, and then I'm going to bring in that picture and use it to trace. So to insert pictures, on the left side here, you got the little picture icon. Camera, photos, files, clouds, libraries. I'm going to click on photos. It's going to go to my photo library. Now, since I've already used this before, I don't get prompted, but it's going to ask you if you want to allow access to photos. Make sure that you allow access to all photos. I'm going to click on this one. And so this is my design. So I actually am redoing the Stark Industry logos. I can resize it by grabbing the corner. It's constrained, so I don't have to worry about it messing up here. With its aspect ratio, I'm just going to center this on the board there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my pen tool here, and I'm just going to start tracing. So I'm going to zoom in with my 2-finger pinch here. I'm going to change my color. Since I'm going to be drawing lines, I'm going to change my stroke color here. I'm going to pick kind of a reddish color. Click out of here. I'm going to click on my pen tool. Now the pen tool works by drawing what they call paths. So to do that, I'm just going to start drawing dots. So I'm just going to press one dot down, and I let go. Go into the next corner, press a dot, and it's connected those as a line. You can barely see it. So I'm going to go to my properties on this line. I'm going to change the stroke. I'm going to make that a little bigger so I can see it. I'm just going to make it 3. Let's make it a little more visible here. Turn the properties off. Now I'm going to touch on the top left corner. See how it's filled it? So the way these paths work is it's always going to fill what's in there because I have white as my fill right now. So I'm actually going to turn that off. Clicked on the white circle on the left and put that circle with a line through it, which is a no fill. Then I'm going to press on that first dot I started. Oops, hold on. And now it's made my first shape. Now I could fill this shape if I want, which I might do that a little later. So now I'm going to take my pen tool and I'm going to start outlining just by touching the dots where I want dots. So see, I didn't like where that one went. I'm going to press the undo button, make sure it straightens out a little better. All the way to the left, work around. It's a little tedious, but I'm drawing my shapes here. Doing a good job so far. All right. So now I actually want this entire outside shape to be one object so I can fill in the inside of it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to press my arrow so I can zoom out. I'm going to go to my layers. I'm actually going to hide my background because I don't want to select it. I'm just going to draw a box around both of these. Then on the right side over here, I'm going to look at this object and I'm going to group. Actually, I'm going to make these a compound path. So now this is one object with an inside and an outside line. So if I fill this now, oh, I forgot to select it. Now if I fill this, it fills right in between. So I have a start to my drawing. Go back to my layers right there. Click on the eyeball to make it visible again. And now I can make sure there's a no fill. I've got my pen tool again. And I'm going to start, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I realize that this design looks a little too much like a Superman S, so I actually would probably go ahead and redesign this. I'm just going to draw my dots, one dot at a time. This is a great tool for making straight lines. If yours is a little more rounded, I will show you what to do. Kind of working a little fast too. Normally would probably take a little more time. Notice in the background when I did my sketch, I used graph paper. So it's actually called isometric graph paper because it's triangles instead of squares. Fun story for today then. When you're done with a loop, make sure to press on that first dot you started with. Now I have another shape. This one should fill nicely. Go to my layers, hide that background image. And I have my logo. If I decide I want to change colors, I can go to the color wheel. So you have the two circles here. The one on the bottom is the stroke. Maybe I want to give it a black outline. See what that would look like. Maybe touch on the S and give that a black outline. I can play around with different looks of this logo. So I think this is where I would end with mine. If you want to do something that's more curved, instead of the pen tool, which is really good at some straight lines, you could use the pencil tool and you could just draw shapes. Now, usually when I like to draw my shapes, I do a no fill to start. And I'm just using my pencil here, which is actually just my finger, drawing the shape, close it back to where you started. And you can fill them any colors you want. Same with the, make sure you have the select tool on, delete that object. I could fill this one as well. So the pencil tool is going to allow you to be a little more creative with your drawings. See how weird it looks when you draw it with the shapes on, or with the fill on to start. Try some other options here. Maybe you have something that's already perfect. Like maybe instead of drawing my triangle, I should have just use the triangle tool, star tool, so you have some options. Drawing circles. Let's say you wanted to get that to a perfect circle. On your properties, you can change the height and width of it. So I can make it exactly 2 inches by 2 inches if I wanted. If I want to rotate an object, I can grab that dot that's hanging above the box there. Be no point in rotating a circle because it's going to look the exact same, but here I could rotate. Between your pen tool, which is going to take dots to draw some straight lines, you can also press and hold a dot and give it an arc, or your drawing tool, your pencil, which allows you to draw more creative shapes, curved shapes, which in terms of tracing might be a little easier. Also erase parts of it if you want, and it will clear out the shape a little better. I could see how it turns it all into a shape. So everything is done in shapes on Photoshop. If you want to do text, same idea, just draw the box and you can type, pulls up the type options automatically, change your font type, change the size here. So you have all these different options at your disposal. When you are finished and you like everything you have right now, I have too much stuff, I'm going to get rid of it. Draw a box around it and delete, draw a box, delete. When you're done, you hit the export and click on other media and your options here. For me, for Schoology, your best option is going to be as a PDF. So export it as a PDF. And then you can choose Schoology and submit it straight onto Schoology on our assignment page. If you have questions, feel free to shoot me an email, but this should be kind of where you get started on your assignment today. Good luck. Don't forget to like and subscribe.